Good afternoon. Since yesterday, June the 4th, we have seen a 2% increase in confirmed COVID-19 cases here in Baltimore. As of this morning, the city has 6,038 reported cases, 317 people hospitalized with COVID-19, and 272 deaths. I'm up here as much as possible to ensure our residents have the most up-to-date and accurate information, so they in turn can make smart and informed decisions for themselves and their families. We remain focused on continuing to scale up our response to this emergency to ensure residents of our city have the resources and support they need at this time, while continuing to leverage the wealth of medical and public health expertise right here in the city of Baltimore. I want to remind residents that they are encouraged to call their doctor or 211 for coronavirus symptom screening and to be connected to a physician for assessment. I also want to remind residents of the invaluable resources available at coronavirus.baltimorecity.gov. After consulting with our health commissioner and reviewing Baltimore City's health data on COVID-19, effective Monday, June the 8th, Baltimore City will fully enter phase 1 of reopening. This includes the following allowances: churches or religious organization groups of up to 50 people and tented outdoor services with physical distancing and face covering may also take place. Virtual worshiping is still strongly encouraged. Fees for tent permits will be waived for exempt religious institutions during COVID restriction period. Fire and building inspection will be available within 48 hours of application. Tent permits will be issued once the application is complete and installation has been approved by the fire and building inspectors. As a condition of the permit, congregants will be required to practice social distancing and wear masks. Opening of child care services with limits of up to 10 people per room. Opening of camps will be allowed with limitation of 10 people, including campers and staff per room, and 50 people per outdoor space. Hair salons and barbershops will be allowed to reopen by appointment only and can allow 5 people per 1,000 square feet. And after providing services to each customer with appropriate cleaning in between customers per CDC and MDH guidelines. The Enid Pratt Free Library will begin their sidewalk service and book by mail program beginning on June 15th. The Baltimore Farmers Market and Bazaar, produced by BOPA, will open for its 43rd season on Sunday, June the 14th at 7 a.m. The Farmers Market will open as a food resource only in this first phase, and a limited number of customers will be allowed to shop at one time. Hotels and accommodation can also reopen with appropriate safeguards in place per CDC and MDH guidelines. The openings announced today have been discussed thoroughly by our health professionals, and we feel as though, if done right, these items can be safely done. These things are low risk for the public, but not without risk. And we still recommend social distancing, wearing of cloth face coverings, staying home if ill, and hand washing. And again, I want to thank the majority of the Baltimoreans who have heeded the warning and followed the guidance. Before I bring up our health commissioner, I would like to acknowledge June as National Gun Violence Awareness Month. And today, June 5th, is National Gun Violence Awareness Day. Even in a pandemic, we are reminded of the toll that another public health risk takes on our community, gun violence, and the countless ways that racism and white supremacy put black people and people of color at an increased risk of gun violence, including police violence. We're asking everyone to wear orange today to honor victims and survivors of gun violence. And today through Sunday night, the City Hall Dome will be lit in orange in solidarity with our other cities across the country. On Wednesday, President Obama held a My Brother's Keeper town hall event where he addressed the killing of George Floyd and voiced support for the protests happening all around our nation, even right here in the city of Baltimore. During that town hall, he called on mayors and county executives to take a pledge to review our police use of force policy, engage our communities by including a diverse range of input, experiences, and stories in our review. Report the findings of our review to our community and seek feedback, and reform our community's police use of force policies. I'm here today to tell the residents of Baltimore that I'm proud to stand with President Obama and so many other mayors across our country in taking this pledge, and know that I'm committed to this reform. As a part of the reforms taking place through our federal consent decree, we have already completed many of these steps. Baltimore Police Department use of force policy was submitted for open comment to the public and was approved by the monitoring team and the DOJ. I'm committed to continue review and improvement of our police department, and I'm proud to take this pledge. I also want to acknowledge and thank the residents of Baltimore who have showed up to peaceful protests and make their voice heard. I will always protect your constitutional rights to gather and protest peacefully. But let me be clear, we do not and will not tolerate violence or destruction from our residents, and certainly will not from outside agitators coming to our city to cause disruption. And I want to say that again. And certainly we will not entertain any outside agitators coming to our city to cause disruptions. Our protesters have been peaceful, and we have respected that, and we want to continue to guarantee their right to protest peacefully. So if you're outside and you're coming into Baltimore to start any problems, we're going to be ready for you. At this time, I'll ask, first I want to thank Dr. DeRosa and Baltimore City Recs and Parks 2020 summer camp season. It's going to look a lot different this year with the launch of Be More Summer Fun. Be More Summer Fun will provide youth ages 5 to 12 an opportunity for outdoor sports, crafts, STEM activities, nature play, and more at 20 Baltimore City Recreation Parks outdoor green spaces. It will operate Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 3:30 p.m. for 6 weeks beginning July the 6th. Due to COVID-19, spaces are limited. Staff and participants are required to wear masks and will not include trips or off-site activities. And our 42 rec centers location will continue to serve as meal sites for Baltimore children and family through the summer of 2020. And with that, I'd like to bring up Reginald Moore, Director of Recreation and Parks, to talk more about the summer program. Well, it says Director Moore, but you can come on.
Thank you, Mayor Young, for your leadership. Good afternoon, everyone. The decision to begin reopening more services and enter Phase 1 here in Baltimore City is grounded in data analysis and an abundance of caution to reduce harm to our most vulnerable populations. While we recognize there is a need for many to get back to work, it is hard to overstate the need for residents to continue to follow appropriate COVID-19 precautions. The permitted activities in each phase of reopening are considered low risk, but not no risk. Individuals over 60 and those with chronic health conditions should continue to take special care to limit risks to the extent possible. As I made mention a few weeks ago, there are several indicators that the Baltimore City Health Department has been closely monitoring in order to safely consider our phase reopening. These metrics and phases were developed by the Baltimore City Health Department in partnership with the Mayor's Office of Performance and Innovation and reviewed by Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, and the University of Maryland Medical System via our public-private partnership. To consider moving to a new phase, we are looking at a sustained decrease in the average rate of new COVID-19 cases per day, a sustained decrease in the average number of COVID-19 fatalities per day, an increase in the number of tests performed daily on average, a decrease in our COVID-19 positivity rate over an extended period of time, and a decrease or holding steady in our intensive and acute care unit utilization rates. As of June 5th, we have seen green lights for several of these indicators. We have seen an increase in the average number of tests performed daily, averaging a little over 1,000 tests per day in our most recent weekly average. We've also seen a decrease in Baltimore City's COVID-19 positivity rate, which has ranged between 10 and 13% for the past few weeks. We have held steady within our intensive care and acute care unit utilization rates for several days. Because of this, we are cautiously optimistic that we can enter Phase 1 locally, and we urge residents and business owners affected by this announcement to remain vigilant and continue social distancing guidance. Moving to Phase 1 does not mean that coronavirus has vanished. It is still here in Baltimore. It is still causing death and disease, and our older adults and those with underlying health conditions remain at risk for severe disease. In order for Baltimore City to maintain these metrics and continue considering plans to move to Phases 2 and 3, Every single Baltimore City resident should still wear face cloth coverings in public spaces, wash your hands frequently, maintain your distance from others to reduce spread of disease, and please continue to stay home if you're ill. For more information on our metrics as well as the phases of reopening, please go to our website, coronavirus.baltimorecity.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zavasa. Now we will have Director Moore to come up.
Thank you, Mayor Gown, for your leadership. Baltimore City Rec and Park understands our summer camps are essential to the youth and families of Baltimore. We serve over 1,000 kids each summer. So we've decided to modify our summer camp. So what does that mean when we say modify our summer camp? We're going to offer green space opportunities outside where our kids can enjoy the outdoors, enjoy nature. We've identified 20 locations throughout the city that are strategically located near rec centers. So some of the precautions that we're putting in place to make sure that we stay in guidance with the COVID-19 guidelines through CDC, as well as our National Recreation and Parks, as well as our American Camp Association. Those include that there will be no groups larger than 9, so there will be 1 counselor for every 9 kids. Also, before each day starts, there will be a thermometer check of the participants as well as our staff. Also, our kids will stay with the same counselor all summer. And as the mayor stated earlier, we're not doing any off-site or trips this summer just for the safety of our kids. But there is a key component here. We will be serving roughly 1/3 of the kids that we normally serve each summer, so there will be limited spaces. During our pre-COVID-19, there was roughly 1,300 kids that had already signed up for our summer camp. So our first steps as an agency is to assess those individual kids that had already registered to determine who's interested and who meets the qualifications to participate this summer. So I encourage families to stay tuned to our different social media outlets as well as our website as we release new and additional spots. Also, I encourage families to continue to use our virtual rec site. We are also going to expand to offer virtual summer camp opportunities there as well. So we're excited that we're able to provide some form of service to our citizens here for the summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Moore. And finally today, I'm excited to announce a new partnership that the city has been tirelessly working on to get the city back to work. Critical to restoring all Baltimore City services is the ability to be able to safely and responsibly bring our city employees back to work at city buildings and offices. We're extremely excited about this new partnership with Emocha Health, a Baltimore-based MWBE digital health company. It will provide employees with an innovative way to self-screen and expedite their entry process into work sites. This new partnership will play a vital role in Baltimore City's restoration of service. Doing everything we can to ensure the safety and well-being of our employees is a top priority. And we are working collaboratively with our labor partners in the rollout of this program. Effective symptoms tracking and monitoring is essential to breaking the transmission of COVID-19. Emocha's solution will allow employees to self-screen for symptoms of COVID-19 prior to arriving at their work location. This will greatly reduce the number of employees needed to be screened on site daily. Employees will receive color-coded digital badges to indicate return to work, clearance, and safe workplace entry. The City of Baltimore is proud to partner with a leading public health platform and service to help ensure the health and safety of our staff throughout this pandemic. At this time, we'll take a few questions.
Does the city's reopening include plans on percent capacity opening?
Say that again.
Step up to the mic. Does the city's reopening plan include Hogan's rules on 50% indoor capacity for retail and indoor services?
No, we're still continuing the curbside retail.
Can you also comment on why the city isn't entering phase 2?
Yes, so we maintained the stay-at-home order after Governor Hogan had lifted it back on May 13th. So we think it would be reckless to jump ahead to phase 2 when we haven't fully been in phase 1. We'd like to be in phase 1. We'd like to be able to review the data as we begin to open more things up and understand if we're going to see trends. It's also possible we could see spikes with the protest. So we want to be able to monitor the data closely, safely enter into phase 1 before we consider moving on to phase 2.
And you have to remember Baltimore City, unlike any other jurisdiction, we are closely compacted with our housing stock. Everybody else around the state is spread out. Okay, so that's another reason.
Mayor Young, it looks like in May, nationwide, 2.5 million jobs were added. Do you have any numbers currently for Baltimore City in terms of unemployment numbers or new jobs added?
Unemployment numbers?
Or new jobs that were added?
No, I don't have those numbers.
And do you happen to know if there's any certain job industry that's seeing growth currently in the city?
No, I haven't seen those numbers either.
Thank you.
I mean, people are still not at work because a lot of people still don't have the proper PPEs and they have not been tested.
Many small businesses, retailers remain frustrated that they can only do the curbside. What is your message to them, especially as they're seeing these large groups of protests and their inability to open up and allow much smaller numbers into their stores?
Well, I understand, small businesses. I understand business in general. I have friends who own businesses and supporters who own businesses. But right now, we have to make sure that we can safely do this. And like I said earlier, we look at the data. That's why we are completing phase 1. And like the health commissioner said, we're just in phase 1. So to jump to phase 2 so early would be counterproductive as far as I'm concerned. So I'm more concerned about saving lives.
When do you foresee the possibility of phase 2?
Once we get the data from our healthcare professionals like we've always done. Data would dictate everything we do in the city of Baltimore. It's about saving lives. Thank you.